This video is a comment video for the Bruce Damer interview on the New Thinking Aloud channel. I really like that channel. I watch everything on it. Jeffrey Mishlove is like the Oprah of consciousness. It's been a few weeks since the video was made, but I have to get some things off of my chest regarding that interview. First of all, I wanted to say that I really appreciate what Bruce Damer was talking about, and I really appreciate his sincerity. It's kind of like, what do I mean by that? It's like a lot of people really don't know what they're talking about. Straight up. Even someone like me, who's spent a long time studying, and I've had my own share of mystical experiences. I can prove monism and talk about the collective consciousness all day, and I could talk about what I've experienced, but for some reason Bruce Damer really seems like he knows what he's talking about. And so that interview is special. It was a rare moment. I really liked the word he used. It was synchronous field. That's really funny because I think it is a field, and I mean, who else calls it a field other than like your generic New Age person? Rupert Sheldrake calls it a field, and I don't even think he believes in a collective consciousness. In his book about angels, Sheldrake's book about angels, he's talking about angels, and then he keeps doing this thing where he says, wow, it kind of sounds like fields. Angels kind of sound like fields. And the whole time I'm going like, dude, come on. Like, you're almost there. I don't think he believes in a collective consciousness, but he thinks more dualistically, and that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. The main thing, actually, is these conjugate paradigms, dualism and monism. I'm talking about the ontological positions of dualism and monism. It is a field. I mean, there's fields around, that's a fact. Fact one. Fields around. Fact two. Fields are inherent to all matter. That's a fact. What does that mean? It means monism is true. It's as simple as that. But then what that means is that panpsychism is true. And that means the collective consciousness is true. It sounds crazy, but when you compare it to the only other options, it actually makes sense and answers questions. So that's what I currently believe. And I've moved on to basically realizing that that's very important. That's a very important thing. I have talked about technology in the past, how our brains could possibly be, or our consciousnesses could be improved, or stuff like that. And I've been pretty impressed by the idea of such things. But in the past few months, I have started to think about other things, like the gravity of the situation has really started to take hold. It's really starting to hit me, and it's kind of like, what is important? Once you realize that the collective consciousness influences people, and people influence the collective consciousness, that is what I'm talking about. It probably exists, and if it does, then that's very important to think about. Regarding monism and dualism, I recall a quote by Aleister Crowley, talking about dualism and monism. This quote was given to me by a friend on Facebook. I'm not like super knowledgeable about Aleister Crowley or any of those people, but I don't know where this quote came from. I've looked for a source. I actually see this quote a lot of different places on the internet, but no one gives a source, and I've looked for all over for a source. So if anyone's watching this and knows what the source is, please let me know, because I really want to know what the source is on this quote. So he's talking about dualism and monism. He's talking about some Age of Horus, which is supposedly like some kind of eschaton or whatever. Talking about Christians thinking that consciousness is God. I don't think Christians believe that. I thought Christianity was mostly monist in the past, but now it is dualist. In the last, I want to say, since like the 80s. I don't know if that's true or not, but our culture has changed a lot in the past few decades. I don't know if anyone has realized that, but all this stuff. What am I talking about? It's all related. It's all related to Bruce Damer and his interview. Because another thing I wanted to bring up was this concept of counterculture. Um, Counterculture. It's just, how do I explain this? Um, there's something that's so confusing to me, how people, influencers of culture, powerful people, influential people, believe in monism. Uh, they really believe in monism. They believe in the collective consciousness, and they make a lot of effort to influence the collective consciousness, such as Aleister Crowley and those people, such as Parsons and Hubbard. Apparently, my recording cut out on me. So, basically, what I was talking about was deception. And it's probably good the recording cut out, because I got a little bit passionate about this. Um, Basically, what I was talking about was, I left off by saying Hubbard, as in the founder of Scientology. Hubbard and Parsons did this weird ritual to try and influence the collective consciousness. Um, and First of all, where is the Aeon of Horus? It's been how many years? Yeah, what's the point in doing that? What's the point in purposefully deceiving people? Because Hubbard, being a part of this ritual, believed in the collective consciousness, obviously, and yet he founded a religion which is diametrically opposed to that belief. It's the opposite. It's basically the opposite. And so, why why deceive people like that? I don't get it. And now today, all over the place, you have this weird counterculture kind of stuff, which I see as the other side of the coin to Scientology. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're very similar. I mean, someone like Joe Rogan, you can tell he's talked to someone like Bruce Damer before. But then there's people like good old AJ, good old the big AJ, Alex Jones, talking about interdimensional aliens. They're interdimensional aliens, Eddie. I don't know anything about aliens, but if there are any, I guarantee you they're not interdimensional. And not just because no one knows what that word means, because it's a meaningless word, but also because that's dualism, and I can prove dualism is not true. No, dualism all the way with people like Alex Jones, and he's just the beginning of it. It's there's a long list of people. I made a video a while back about Neil deGrasse Tyson, and all of a sudden coming out in support of simulation theory, which is really weird because it goes against everything he's ever believed or thought before. There's all this dualist stuff all at once coming from like counterculture kind of figures, And so I'm just, it's really been like, why the deception? People need less deception, I think. I don't think people are helped by deception. Um, it's like, it's so boring. If you're trying to fulfill a prophecy by awakening some kind of demon or something, and you're going to cause an eschaton, like the Age of Horus or something like that, it's so boring because so many organizations have tried to do that in the past. And where's the eschaton? I'm looking around. Is it over here? Is it over here? I don't see an eschaton. So it's prophecies, it's prophecies that I don't believe in. Because, at some point along the way, some guy said, oh, I have special powers. And I have this prophecy. And, that's the kind of thing that I'm skeptical about. I do believe in a collective consciousness, and I do believe that you can influence it, but it's just really confusing to me why it is so important to influence it in a negative way and not a strong way. What we really need, what humanity really needs, is strong spirituality. Our culture is very weak spiritually. What do I mean by that? Well, I view the word spirit as being exactly the same as mind or thought. So when I say spirituality, I mean psychology. And I think that's what the Bible and religions like that, I think that's what that means as well. But what does it mean to be strong mentally or psychologically? I just read an article about, it's a really good article, about how one can be both skeptical and open-minded. Skeptical, of course, meaning that you take a position and you back it up with evidence and arguments. And you try to, just like they teach you in science, they teach you to disprove your own hypothesis. They don't actually do that. They teach you to do that. They don't actually do that. But if they did that, that would be strong spirituality. Also with open-mindedness, being able to consider an idea without automatically believing it. So, it's stuff like that. It's mental stuff. And that, I think it can be improved. I think humanity can be gradually improved. To be like that. And of course, there's stuff like, IQ and personality, which is like a taboo to talk about for some reason. But, it's like, and so it's really hard to find people to talk to about, just talk to on the general subject. And I'm not looking for people to agree with me. But if you're one of the few people who are watching this and know what I'm talking about, leave a comment, please, to my comment. It's like, again, the collective consciousness probably is real. I'm not just pulling that out of my butt. I wrote a book, giving my arguments for it, and I continue to write. I continue to think about it. I continue to write. So when I say I think that collective consciousness is real, I'm not just. So again, if it is real, it's very important to, I think, understand that people are influenced by it, and people influence it. Just like how you can influence your body or your neurons, and your neurons can influence other neurons. Basically the same concept, I think. So that's my 2 cents. Hope it made sense. I'll be continuing to make videos, so if you're interested in what I'm talking about, please stay and watch my other videos. Bye-bye.